I was reborn on the night my child was taken away. The wound from the cesarean section still hurt. The effects of the anesthesia had long worn off, and any slight movement made my vision blur with pain. But Escalating Wan had already brought Su Wan and 2 bodyguards, blocking the door to Ward 302. In his black suit, he stood under the cold white lights of the corridor, his expression as grave as if he were there to announce a sentence. Lin Zi, hand over the child. I looked up at him. In my previous life, it was also this sentence. At that time, it was only the 3rd day after I had given birth, and it was difficult to even sit up. When I heard him say he wanted to take the child away, my first reaction was to cry. I cried and begged him not to touch my child. Su Wan stood behind him, her eyes red as she softly said, Lin Chuan, my sister is emotionally unstable after giving birth. Just that one sentence. I was labeled a madman. The child was taken away. I chased into the corridor, the wound tearing open, bleeding heavily and losing consciousness. When I woke up, I was already in a psychiatric hospital. 3 months later, I died there. And now, Escalating Wan is still standing at the door. Su Wan is also still standing behind him, her eyes red. Like the one who has been wronged is her. She has been Escalating Wan's white moonlight for many years. My wife has just given birth. Yet she seems more like the master of the child than I do. I fell silent for 2 seconds and reached out to press the call button at the head of the bed. Soon, the night shift nurse pushed the door open. 302. What's wrong? I pointed at the few people by the door. Call the police. Someone is coming together to steal newborns at 2 in the morning. The hospital room fell silent for a moment. The nurse was stunned. Su Wan was also taken aback. Escalating Wan frowned. Lin Zi, what are you going crazy about this time? I nodded. If you suspect I'm insane, I suggest you see a psychiatrist. But your current behavior suggests that you should first go to the legal affairs department. The nurse bowed her head and coughed softly. Escalating Wan's expression darkened. He raised his foot and was about to walk inside. The nurse immediately stepped forward and blocked him. Sir, this is the maternity care area. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. Escalating Wan looked at her coldly. I am the child's father. Father cannot barge into the maternity room at midnight with bodyguards. I leaned against the headboard, cold sweat already beading on my forehead. Yet my voice remained firm. Moreover, I do not acknowledge your qualifications right now. Escalating Wan's gaze suddenly snapped back to my face. He probably heard me speak to him like this for the first time. Even the hand he had raised halfway came to a stop. Lin Zi, don't call me that so familiarly. He froze for a moment. Su Wan took half a step forward, her voice as soft as if she were afraid of startling someone. Zi Jie. Please don't be like this. Lin Chuan is just worried about the child. Worried about the child. I looked at her. So bringing 2 bodyguards to storm the mother and baby zone at midnight. Is this how your family expresses paternal love? So violently. Su Wan's face turned pale. She opened her mouth but couldn't respond. The bodyguard behind Escalating Wan lowered his head, seemingly suddenly very interested in the floor. Escalating Wan said coldly, Lin Zi. Su Wan is also doing this for your sake. Doing it for my sake is fine. I nodded. First, let her show her practicing physician's license. If she doesn't have a license, this isn't called concern. It's called slander. Tears suddenly fell from Su Wan's eyes. Lin Chuan. I knew my sister would misunderstand me. Escalating Wan looked at me with even colder eyes. Just look at what you resemble now. Like a woman who just had a cesarean 3 days ago. Being ambushed at the door in the middle of the night for her baby. I said, it's you. Like someone being led around by the nose. Yet still believing they're perfectly lucid. Escalating Wan's face darkened completely. Lin Zi. Don't test my patience. Escalating Wan. Don't challenge the bottom line of the law either. I pointed to the crib by the bed. The child slept inside. A tiny bundle. With cries that were still soft. The child is right here. If you dare to take away without authorization today, tomorrow I will make sure the whole city knows that the eldest son of the Xie family stole a newborn at 2 in the morning. By then, don't say you're just the child's father. Even if you claim to be the Jade Emperor. You'll have to cooperate with the investigation first. Lin Chuan fixed his stare on me. He probably hasn't reacted yet. In the past, when he frowned, I would rush to explain. But now, I just want him to clarify first. What right does he have to take my child? Su Wan wiped away her tears and took out a document from her bag. Jie, I know you hate me, but I can't just stand by and watch something happen to the child. She handed the document to Lin Chuan. This is the risk assessment for postpartum mental disorders provided by the doctor. The doctor said that in her current condition, it's very dangerous for the baby to stay with her. Lin Chuan took it and glanced down. His expression grew darker. Lin Zi, what more do you have to say? Once, I was eager to explain myself here, but the more I insisted that I wasn't crazy, the more they thought I was abnormal. This time, I didn't snatch the documents, nor did I cry. I only looked at Su Wan. Which hospital issued this? Su Wan was momentarily taken aback. I went on to ask, which doctor signed this? When is the evaluation time? Am I personally informed? Who signed the authorization? There's more. I paused for a moment. As the mother, why am I not aware that I was being evaluated? Su Wan opened her mouth. Jie, you're so upset right now. I'm just worried. Don't be afraid. I cut her off. Give me the doctor's number. I'll ask him right now how he diagnosed me from a distance. Su Wan's face turned pale. Lin Chuan frowned. Do you have to be so aggressive? She came at midnight with a piece of suspicious paper. Wanting to take my child. This is what she calls concern. I asked a couple of questions about its origin, and that makes me aggressive. I looked at him. Lin Chuan. Your fairness really knows how to pick people. Lin Chuan tightened his grip on the evaluation report. He finally looked down at the piece of paper once more. The paper bore only one so-called expert's signature. There is no confirmation record from me. There is no stamp from the postpartum care center. Even the date is the day before my delivery. I smiled. Quite magical. My child hasn't been born yet. And this expert already knows about my postpartum mental abnormalities. Did he study fortune-telling before studying medicine? The ward fell silent for 2 seconds. The nurse took the assessment, glanced at it a few times, and her expression changed as well. Mr. Xie, this document was not issued by our center. There is no signature or stamp from our center's doctor. Nor is there any confirmation record from the mother herself. From a procedural standpoint, it cannot be used as a basis for taking the newborn away. Su Wan immediately said, this isn't from your center. It was an expert sought by Lin Chuan. Where's the expert? I asked. Let him come. Come right now. If he can really prove that I'm crazy, I will immediately cooperate with the consultation. But before he comes, Su Wan, I looked at her. If you say one more word about me being mentally unstable, I'll file an additional slander lawsuit against you. Su Wan's tears hung on her face, neither falling nor staying. Lin Chuan did not immediately speak for her. A brief silence appeared in the ward for the first time. In that moment, Su Wan's expression finally showed signs of cracking. She probably didn't expect that in this life. Something that condemned me with a single word in the last life would actually require an explanation. The nurse picked up her phone. I'll call the police now. With those words, Su Wan suddenly looked up. She reached out to tug at Lin Chuan's sleeve. Lin Chuan. You can't call the police. This matter has become serious. It isn't good for my sister either. I looked at her. How have I become a burden to you again? As a giving birth woman blocked at the door and robbed of my child, I still have to consider the reputation of the one who snatched my child. Su Wan, are you really that good at moral coercion? The nurse has already begun dialing. Hello. This is Anha Maternity Center. Unauthorized personnel attempted to take the newborn from room 302. But the mother herself clearly refused. Su Wan's face grew increasingly pale. Lin Chuan was still standing firm. He looked at me. His voice lowered. Lin Zi, are you sure you want to escalate things to this level? Sure. Don't regret it later. I looked up at him. You spoke those words pretty early. After all, regret usually comes quite late. Lin Chuan's brow twitched. The ward was cold and stiff. The child in the crib moved slightly, with a tiny hand peeking out from the swaddle. Su Wan's gaze immediately fell over She took a step forward and said softly, "I want to see the baby." The nurse immediately blocked her. "Miss Su, please do not approach the crib." I also spoke up. "Everyone should see clearly. If she goes towards the child, I suggest we directly classify it as an assault on a newborn." Su Wan stood frozen in place. Lin Chuan looked at me. "Do you really have to think so badly of her?" "I don't want to either," I sighed. But from the moment she walked in until now, the mental evaluation, the paternity test, and the approach to the crib, she hasn't missed a single step. Su Wan's fingers tightened in her cuff. She could no longer cry, because she realized that crying had become useless with me. In the past, when she cried, I would take a step back. Now, every time she cries, I just add another piece of evidence. The nurse hung up the phone. "The police are on their way." With this statement, the atmosphere in the ward changed completely. Lin Chuan's expression turned serious. "The supervisor hasn't arrived yet. The police haven't gotten here yet." But Su Wan is already panicking. She bit her lip, as if finally making up her mind, and took out a second document from her bag. "Sister Ge, if you insist on calling the police, then I can only reveal the truth." I looked at the documents in her hand. My heart sank. Here it comes. That thing. I'm so familiar with it. It was the very same thing that caused Lin Chuan's gaze towards me to change completely. Su Wan handed the document to Lin Chuan, her voice trembling. "Lin Chuan, this child is not yours at all." Lin Chuan took the document. On the cover, the 4 words, "paternity test," were strikingly conspicuous. Su Wan looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I didn't want to say anything, but with my sister like this, we really can't let the child stay by her side anymore. Lin Chuan looked down at the paternity test. The lights in the ward were very bright, making his knuckles feel a little cold. Su Wan stood beside him, her eyes red just enough. "Lin Chuan, I know this is cruel for you, but we can't be confused about the child's matter." Lin Chuan said nothing. He only looked at me, like examining a counterfeit finally revealing its cracks. But I wasn't in a hurry to explain. I just looked at Su Wan. "Who took the sample?" Su Wan was taken aback. "What? I'm asking you. Who took the sample?" I leaned against the headboard, the wound stinging painfully. But my voice was quite clear. "Who submitted the sample? Who signed the authorization?" On the 3rd day after the child was born, aside from the nurses changing diapers, I hardly left the room at all. What sample was used for this identification? Su Wan's tears still clung to her face, but this time, they wouldn't fall. Lin Chuan's fingers, holding the documents, paused for a moment. He finally lowered his head to glance at the string of numbers beneath the appraisal form. Su Wan quickly reacted, her voice trembling. "Sister Ge, the focus right now is not on the samples. The focus is on the results." "Wrong." I cut her off. "The most important thing about paternity testing is the sample. If the sample is unclear, the result is just worthless paper." Nurse Su Wei stood by, her lips twitching as if she wanted to nod, but she held back. I continued to look at Su Wan. "You can't possibly say that my son crawled out in the middle of the night, cooperated with you to complete the identification, and then crawled back to sleep, can you?" The ward fell silent for a moment. Lin Chuan's expression was not good, but this time, he did not immediately scold me for being reckless. Su Wan bit her lip. "I just had someone obtain the sample for me." "Who?" I asked. Her eyes flickered for a moment. I smiled. "What? Was it someone from the underworld?" "Living people can't say names." Lin Chuan finally spoke. "Su Wan, who gave you the sample?" Su Wan gripped the strap of her bag, her voice becoming softer. "Lin Chuan, are you doubting me now?" In the past, as soon as this sentence was spoken, Lin Chuan would immediately stand by her side. But this time, Lin Chuan did not answer right away. He stared at the appraisal report in his hand, and for the first time, a look of hesitation creased his brow. I looked at him. "Lin Chuan, there's no need to rush to doubt her right now. First, think back to whether you've asked even once about the source of the samples since you walked in." He suddenly looked up. I lifted my chin slightly, gesturing for him to look at the paper in his hand. "A newborn who has just been born for 3 days. No sampling records. No maternal authorization. No records of entering or exiting the nursing area. A paternity test suddenly emerged from Su Wan's bag. Your first reaction after reading it is not to ask where the sample came from. Instead, he asked me what else I had to say. Is this how you usually sign contracts when conducting business? Escalating Wan's expression instantly froze. Su Wan became anxious. Why do you have to put things in such an unpleasant way? Is it unpleasant? I looked at her. Then let me say it more nicely. Miss Su provided a paternity test with unknown source, unclear authorization, and unspecified sampling, and tried to take my child away with it. Is this decent enough? Su Wan's complexion gradually faded. Escalating Wan looked down at the appraisal form again. Nurse Su. I spoke up. Could you please check if there are any sampling records for newborn 302 over the past 3 days? Su Wei immediately walked over to the computer. This time I asked first. And she confirmed afterwards. Soon, she looked at the screen and said, no, 302 newborns have not left the care area since birth. There are also no records of blood, oral swabs, or other samples, the identity wristbands, feeding records, and night shift inspection records are all complete. Su Wan immediately said, just because your center doesn't have it, doesn't mean other places don't. I nodded. Yes. So the question comes back around. How did they get the samples from other places? Did my child send them over themselves? Or did your people reach into the maternity ward? With these words, the ward fell silent. Escalating Wan finally looked up at Su Wan. Su Wan's lips trembled. I didn't. Nothing. I asked. Not fabricated. Did you not buy anyone off? Did you not try to snatch the child with a fake certificate? Tears fell from her eyes again. Lin Chuan. I'm really just afraid that you will be deceived. You're afraid he'll be deceived. So you deceive him first. Su Wan suddenly choked. The appraisal document in Escalating Wan's hand was creased under his grip. That's enough, he said. I looked at him. Do you think I've asked enough? Or do you think she has revealed enough? Escalating Wan did not respond. Su Wan still had no intention of admitting it. She took a deep breath and straightened her back. Even if this appraisal can't prove the origin of the sample now, it doesn't guarantee the child is safe. She looked towards the crib. With my sister's emotions so heightened right now, who knows if she might act out in a moment of agitation and hurt the child. I smiled. Going in circles. Back to the fact that I'm going crazy. Su Wan. Is this the only hat you have tonight? Su Wan's face looked ugly. I'm just worried. Worry needs a basis. I said. You say I'm crazy. Bring the diagnosis. You say the child isn't Escalating Wan's. Bring the legal identification. You say I will harm the child. Bring the evidence. There's nothing at all. Just a word of worry. Then I worry you want to take the child. How about we detain you first? Su Wan had tears welling up in her eyes. At that moment, hurried footsteps were heard outside. The supervisor of the confinement center hurried over. She was wearing a jacket, her hair a bit messy, clearly called in at the last minute. As soon as she entered, she looked at Escalating Wan first. Mr. Xie. I'm truly sorry. Is there some misunderstanding on our side? I raised an eyebrow. Before the person could even steady themselves, their stance was already firm. Escalating Wan remained silent. The manager looked at me again, forcing a smile. Miss Lin, you have just given birth. Try not to get too emotional. If there's any issue, we can coordinate internally. I looked at her. Coordinate internally. The supervisor nodded. Yes. After all, the child is still young, and the mother also needs rest. This has escalated, and that's not good for anyone. I fell silent for 2 seconds. Nurse Su, could you please help me take note of this? Su Wei was taken aback. What should I note? I glanced at the supervisor. The supervising manager at Anha Maternity Center failed to secure the surveillance footage immediately upon arrival, did not inquire how unauthorized personnel accessed the mother and baby area, and did not verify the authorization of the visitors. The first sentence is internal coordination. The supervisor's face changed instantly. Miss Lin, that's not what I meant. Then what do you mean? I asked. Do you think it's not serious that someone broke into the nursing area in the middle of the night? Do you still think it's not serious for someone to attempt to take away a newborn with an untraceable evaluation and identification form? Or do you think that since Mr. Xia is standing here, it's better if this matter isn't serious? The supervisor's lips moved. But he was at a loss for words. Xia Linchuan's expression also changed. He probably didn't expect that I would confront the supervisor as well. Su Wan took the opportunity to softly say, "Sister Ge. The supervisor is also looking out for you." I looked at her. There are quite a few people here today who care about me. A person who wants to take my child. A person who says I'm crazy. A person who has a fake certificate. Now another one comes to coordinate internally. Bring me a couple more. I can't tell whether this is a postpartum center or an accident distribution site. The supervisor's face flushed red and pale. "Miss Lin, please be mindful of your wording." "I wish I could be mindful too," I said. "But you all gathered together at midnight to deliver material. It's hard for me not to perform." Xia Linchuan closed his eyes, as if he had finally reached his limit. "Lin Zi, do you really want everyone to be unable to save face? It's not me who is making it impossible for you to save face." I looked at him. "You are the ones standing in the wrong place. This is the maternity and infants area. Not the Xie family's living room. And certainly not Su Wan's performance hall." Su Wan's face turned pale. The supervisor finally steadied his tone. "Miss Lin, I understand that you are feeling emotional right now. But after all, Mr. Xia is the child's father. There are some things we can discuss if we sit down first." "Talk is fine." I nodded. The supervisor let out a sigh of relief. I went on. "First, write a report on the situation. Firstly, at 2 in the morning, unauthorized personnel entered the maternal and infant care area. Secondly, the visitor attempted to take the newborn away with unverified documents. Thirdly, the mother herself explicitly refused. Fourthly, the center supervisor suggested internal coordination. I looked up at her. "Finish writing. Then sign. Who coordinates? Who takes the blame?" The manager's smile completely froze on his face. "This. How can it be written like this? Can't be written like this." I asked. "Where is it wrong? Is it because they didn't come? Is it because they didn't rob? Is it because I agreed? Or did you not mention internal coordination?" The supervisor was completely at a loss for words. Su Wei took the initiative to pick up the notebook this time. "Miss Lin, I can start by taking the duty record." The supervisor shot her a glance. Su Wei lowered her head. But the pen didn't stop. At this moment, the supervisor was genuinely panicked. Xia Linchuan also looked at the supervisor. "Why did your center let us come straight up?" The supervisor's face turned pale. "Mr. Xie, it was the front desk that said you have a special identity." I let out a laugh. "Special identity? So as long as you look rich enough, you can bypass the front desk, bypass authorization, bypass the mother herself, and go directly upstairs to acknowledge the child. This is not a high-end confinement center. It's a high society self-service number call." The bodyguard at the door couldn't hold it in any longer and gently inhaled. Xia Linchuan turned to glance at him. The bodyguard immediately stood up straight. The supervisor was so anxious that sweat beaded on his forehead. "Miss Lin, we will definitely investigate this matter." "It's not just an investigation," I said. "It's about sealing off the surveillance footage now. Access records, visitor logs, duty handover records, front desk release logs. Seal them all." The supervisor hesitated for a moment. I looked at her. "If you don't seal them, when the police come, I'll say it's you who didn't allow the sealing." The supervisor's expression changed. "Seal it." "Of course seal it." She immediately turned around and instructed the person behind her to handle it. Su Wan's face turned even worse. She probably didn't expect that someone who should have been suppressed by her remark of unstable mind would not even spare the director of the confinement center. Now, Xia Linchuan stood in the center of the ward, still holding the appraisal in his hand. He glanced at me, then at Su Wan. The certainty in his eyes finally cracked open a seam. Su Wan clearly noticed it as well. She panicked for a moment and immediately softened her voice. "Linchuan, I really mean no harm. I'm just afraid something might happen to the child. If my sister is unwilling to let us take him away right now, then at least let the doctor assess the safety of the child's environment. I looked at her. Here we go again. Su Wan bit her lip. Did I say something wrong? You're pretty consistently wrong, I said. The biggest safety risk for the child right now isn't me, their biological mother. You are the outsider who one moment wants a psychological evaluation, the next demands a paternity test, and then tries to get close to the crib. Su Wan's frail composure finally began to falter. Am I an outsider? What about otherwise? I asked. What relation are you to the child? She choked on her words. I don't care what your relationship with Su Wan is, but please clarify your relationship with my child right here. Mother, guardian, authorized visitor. None of them. I looked at her and said word by word. Then you are an outsider. The ward was so silent that one could hear a pin drop. Su Wan's face was pale to the extreme. Su Wan's grip on the document tightened slightly. I knew that this sentence pierced her more than all the previous rebuttals combined. Because what she desires is to step over me and stand between the child and Su Wan. But the child is not a prop for her to perform with. Nor is he a ticket for her to enter the CF family. The supervisor stood by, completely afraid to offer any advice. Su Wei is still remembering. The sound of a police siren faintly came from downstairs. Su Wan heard the sound, and her gaze clearly faltered for a moment. She instinctively looked towards the crib again. At that moment, the child in the crib suddenly cried out. A very soft sound, like a little kitten. My heart twisted instantly, and I was about to reach out to prop myself up. But Su Wan was faster than me and pounced over. She acted too hastily, forgetting to even pretend to be weak. Child. Su Wei immediately positioned herself in front of the crib. Miss Su. Su Wan suddenly grasped her wrist tightly. What are you doing? Su Wan froze, her face pale. I was just worried about the child. Su Wan's wrist was held by Su Wan, and she froze in front of the crib. She reacted quickly, tears immediately welling up. Wan, you're hurting me. Su Wan paused his fingers. She took the opportunity to look at me with red eyes. Sister Z, I just saw the child crying so hard, and I wanted to help calm him down. Why do you think so poorly of me? I looked at her. Calming a child? I asked. Do you have to rush over to coax the child? The nurse stops you, and you still crash forward. Su Wan, did you use to coax children by sprinting? Su Wei paused briefly as she picked up the child. The supervisor stood by, his face even paler than before. Su Wan's tears paused for a moment. She bit her lip, as if she had suffered a great injustice. Sister, you're really too sensitive right now. I'm just worried about the child. Worried about the child. So you bypassed the child's mother, skipped the nurse, and headed straight for the crib. I looked at her. Are you worried about the child? Or are you worried that the child is still by my side? Su Wan's expression changed. Su Wan suddenly looked at her. She immediately shook her head. That's not true. Wan. Don't listen to her nonsense. She just wants to push everyone to her opposite side now. I smiled. Su Wan. Don't be so quick to label me. Everyone in the ward saw you rush over just now. How about you perform on the spot and show us how a normal person can just take a look at the child and still gain momentum? Su Wan's hand was still gripping Su Wan, but this time, he did not let go. Su Wan's expression finally showed a crack. She was no longer just crying. Her tone had grown urgent. I'm just afraid that something might happen to the child. You've been blocking everyone, not letting anyone get close to the child. Who knows if you're just feeling guilty? Guilty. I looked at her. Am I feeling guilty? So I called the police. Am I feeling guilty? So I requested to seal the surveillance footage. Am I feeling guilty? So I made you explain the source of the samples. Su Wan. Usually people who feel guilty don't like the police showing up. For example, you. The ward fell silent for a moment. Su Wan's face turned pale. Su Wan's gaze deepened further. At this moment, footsteps echoed from outside the corridor. 2 policemen entered the hospital room. The leading officer glanced around the scene, first looking at the child in Su Wei's arms, then at me. Who called the police? Su Wei immediately said. I reported it. I took over the conversation. It was my request for her to report it. I am the maternal patient Lin Z from room 302. These unauthorized individuals entered the maternal and infant care area at 2 in the morning, attempting to take my child. Su Wan immediately spoke up. It's not like that, officer. We did not attempt to abduct the child. Xia Linchuan is the child's father. We are simply concerned about her mental state after giving birth. I looked at her. You see, the police just arrived. And you're already back to your rounds. The police officer looked at Su Wan. Are you a doctor? Su Wan stiffened. I'm not. Then what medical diagnosis do you have as evidence? Su Wan opened her mouth but couldn't say anything. I leaned against the headboard and slowly added a sentence. She has a postpartum mental health assessment. Su Wan's eyes lit up, as if she had finally grasped a lifeline. In the next moment, I spoke again. However, the assessment time is the day before my delivery. In other words, I haven't given birth yet. And she has already assessed my postpartum situation. The police officer glanced down at the document. The expression clearly froze. Su Wei added from the side. This document was not issued by our center. Nor is there any confirmation record from the mother herself. The police nodded and placed the document into the evidence bag. Su Wan's complexion grew even worse. Xia Linchuan stood by, for the first time not speaking up for her. Su Wan was anxious. She turned to look at him. Linchuan, say something. Xia Linchuan lowered his eyes to look at her. First, clarify who gave you the sample. Su Wan froze all over. I chuckled. Xia Linchuan finally asked the right question. It's a bit late. Su Wan bit her lip. I was reminded by someone too. Who reminded you? The police asked. Her voice lowered. An anonymous tip. I almost laughed out loud. What a coincidence. You all are more anonymous than the last today. The mental health assessment expert is not present. The parental samples are provided anonymously. And even kidnapping is claimed to be for my own good. Su Wan, your team is all about no one taking responsibility. The police glanced at me. Su Wei lowered her head and bit her lip. The supervisor stood at the door, completely hesitant to interject. The officer asked me, what is your current demand? I glanced at Su Wan. Very simple. She said I'm insane. I want to check the diagnosis source. She said the child isn't Xia Linchuan's. I want to check the sample source. She said she was just worried about the child. I want to check if she came last night. I paused for a moment. After all, every step she took tonight was too familiar. Not like the first time. Su Wan suddenly raised her head. Lin Zi, what gives you the right to say that? Because you were more anxious than my own mother just now, I said, the moment the baby cried. Your first reaction wasn't to call the nurse or ask about the situation. It was to rush right over. Su Wan, a baby that's only 3 days old is most vulnerable to external force and infection. You understand postpartum risks so well. How can you not understand this? Su Wan's face turned pale with frustration. The police officer looked at the supervisor. Can we access the surveillance and access records now? The supervisor nodded immediately. Yes. Yes. I looked at her. And last night's too. The supervisor was taken aback. Last night. I looked at Su Wan. I suspected that it wasn't a spontaneous decision. She might have come here long ago. Su Wan's expression changed instantly. It was in that moment. Xia Linchuan saw it. The police saw it too. I slowly smiled. It seems I was right. Su Wan immediately retorted. Don't deceive me. Deceive you. I nodded. All right. Then let's adjust the surveillance. If you've never been here, the surveillance will naturally clear your name. Aren't you the one who loves being innocent the most? Su Wan had nothing to say. Her fingers tightly gripped the bag strap, knuckles turning white. The supervisor had someone check the surveillance footage. The ward fell silent for a moment. The child was crying a bit urgently. Su Wei gently coaxed the child a couple of times while holding him, then placed the child back beside me. I reached out to touch his little face. He gradually calmed down. I didn't look up, but could feel Xia Linchuan watching me all along. He probably realized for the first time that I wasn't just causing a scene. What a pity. Discovering this at this moment doesn't quite mean being awake. Consider it a retake. 10 minutes later, the supervisor returned with a tablet. Her face looked very grim. Officer, Miss Su did indeed come by at 9:42 last night. Su Wan suddenly looked up. I didn't. The supervisor handed over the surveillance footage. In the video, a woman wearing a mask and a gray coat entered through the side door. She was covered up quite thoroughly, but the string of pearl bracelets on her wrist was quite obvious. Su Wan was also wearing them today. The police officer glanced at her hand. Su Wan instinctively tucked her hand in to her sleeve. I looked at her. Quite a coincidence. Your bracelet has appeared anonymously as well. Escalating Chuan's expression changed completely. Su Wan. His voice was heavy with seriousness. Did you come last night? Su Wan's eyes were red and swollen. I was just worried about my sister. Are you worried about me? So you put on a mask and sneak out at midnight? I asked. What? Is the front door not allowing concern to come in? Su Wan was forced into a high-pitched voice by me. Lindsay, you shouldn't always cling to these details. Details. I looked at her. The source of the mental assessment is details. The paternity test samples are details. Entering the postpartum center at midnight is also a detail. What is the focus then? Is the focus only when the child is taken away by you? Su Wan's face turned pale. The police asked the supervisor again. Whose access control was she swiping? The supervisor's voice dropped even lower. It's not a visitor registration. It's an internal employee card. Whose? The supervisor looked at Su Wei. Chen Li. Su Wei frowned. She isn't on duty tonight. I looked up. Call her over. The supervisor hesitated a bit. Now. I look at her. What? Is this something that can be coordinated internally? Allowing outsiders to swipe the staff access cards into the maternal and infant area. The supervisor fell silent immediately. The police also glanced at her. Contact now. 15 minutes later, Chen Li was brought in. She is a caregiver in her 30s, with her hair tied up messily. Clearly called awake on short notice. As soon as she walked in and saw the police, her legs went weak. Officer, I don't know anything at all. I looked at her. I haven't even asked yet. And you already don't know. This opening remark isn't very auspicious. Chen Li's face turned pale. Su Wan immediately spoke up. I don't know her. Chen Li suddenly looked up at Su Wan. Just that one glance. Everyone in the room understood. I smiled. Su Wan, you don't know her. What is she looking at you for? When she sees a stranger, her first reaction is not fear, but to check your facial expression. This relationship feels quite unfamiliar. Su Wan gritted her teeth. Lindsay. Don't spout nonsense. I ignored her and looked at Chen Li. At 9:42 last night, your access card was used to enter the side door. The person in the surveillance footage was wearing a bracelet similar to Su Wan's. So you're saying you have no idea? Meaning your card just sprouted legs and ran off. Chen Li's lips trembled. I might have lost my card. Lost it. I nodded. When did you lose it? She was stuck. Yesterday. Last night. What time? I don't remember. Did you report it after you lost it? She couldn't speak. I looked at her. Chen Li. Failing to report the loss of the access card allowed outsiders to enter the mother and baby area. If that's all it is, you'll only lose your job at most. But if you help someone obtain information about a newborn, assist in forging paternity tests, or even prepare to transfer the child. I paused for a moment. Then it's not losing a job. The color drained from Chen Li's face. The police officer looked at her. You better tell the truth. Chen Li's gaze became chaotic. Su Wan immediately interrupted. Comrade police. She doesn't know anything at all. Lin Ziyi is just scaring her. I looked at Su Wan. You're in such a hurry to speak for her. Don't you barely know her? Su Wan's lips froze. Chen Li also froze. The ward fell silent for 2 seconds. Xie Linchuan closed his eyes, as if finally struck by something. I continued to ask Chen Li. How much did she give you? Chen Li instinctively shook her head. No. Is that enough for you to take the blame for her in trafficking newborns? Chen Li suddenly raised her head. I didn't traffic. Then clarify it. I stared at her. What did she make you do? Just swipe the card. Or take a picture of the child's wristband. Or help her prepare the transfer procedures. The last 4 words made Chen Li tremble all over. My heart sank suddenly. I guessed right. Su Wan was also flustered. Chen Li, don't let her lead you on. The police immediately glanced at Su Wan. Miss Su, please do not interfere with the questioning. Su Wan's lips turned pale. Chen Li could no longer hold on. She crumbled and sank directly to the ground on her knees. I really didn't know she wanted to hurt the child. I thought she just wanted to confirm the child's identity. She said child might not belong to Miss Lin. She said Mr. Xia was deceived. Su Wan exclaimed sharply. Nonsense. Chen Li burst into tears. I wasn't talking nonsense. It's you who made me take the wristband. You asked me to take a photo of the child's care card. You also asked me to send you the night shift schedule. You said that as long as I helped you prepare the temporary transfer paperwork, I wouldn't have to worry about anything else afterward. The ward was completely silent. Even the child seemed stunned by the atmosphere. Gently sniffing with a small nose, Xia Linchuan slowly turned his head to look at Su Wan. His gaze was no longer one of doubt. It was shock. Transfer procedures. Su Wan's face lost the last trace of color. That's not it. Lin Chuan. It's not what you think. I looked at her. What do you mean by that? You've already arranged for him to be transferred to another hospital just 3 days after the child is born. Or are you planning to make decisions on my behalf before I've even signed anything as his biological mother? Su Wan's voice trembled. I am afraid you will hurt the child. So where do you want to take the child? I asked. She remained silent. I looked at Chen Li. The name of the hospital. Chen Li cried so hard that her shoulders shook. I don't know the full name. She only sent me a transfer template. It said. She trembled as she took out her phone. Hygiene Children's Rehabilitat. Ion Hospital. When the police officer read out this name, there was a moment of silence in the ward. I did not cry. He didn't shout either. He just lowered his head to look at the child in his arms. He was still so small, and after crying himself out, his eyelashes were damp and clinging together, his little fingers gripping my hospital gown as if he were holding the entire world. I looked up at Su Wan. Hai Ren, an all too familiar name. In my past life, they told me that the child was beyond saving there. I didn't even get to see a final goodbye. Su Wan's face was as pale as that of the dead. I don't know what you're talking about. Not knowing is fine. I nodded. I'll ask you a few simple questions. The wristband was something you asked Chen Li to take. The nursing tag was something you asked Chen Li to take. The night patrol schedule was something you had Chen Li send out. The transfer template was also something you prepared in advance. I looked at her and asked word by word. Su Wan, are you worried about the child? Or are you planning the route for the child in advance? Su Wan's lips trembled. I just want to move the child to a safer place. Safer. I chuckled. Then why don't you go through the proper channels? Why not inform me? The mother. Why not apply in the name of your father? Xia Linchuan. Why let a caregiver secretly take a wristband? Why bring someone to rob in the middle of the night? No one spoke in the ward. Even Xia Linchuan was frozen in place. Su Wan held the strap of her bag tightly, her knuckles turning pale. Because you wouldn't agree. Yes. I nodded. A normal mother wouldn't agree to let a stranger take her child to an unfamiliar hospital in the middle of the night. This doesn't make me difficult to deal with. This means my mind is still working. Su Wei looked down at her notebook. The tip of her pen paused for a moment. The supervisor's expression grew even more unpleasant, as if she wished she could disappear from the ward right then and there. Xia Linchuan finally spoke, his voice a bit hoarse. Su Wan. Why Hai Ren? Su Wan stared at him suddenly. Linchuan, do you suspect me too? I'm asking you why now. He stared at her. It's not about whether you're wronged or not. As soon as these words fell, the frailty on Su Wan's face became even more pronounced. She took a half step back, tears still falling, but her gaze was no longer as soft as it had been moments ago. I'm doing all this for you. I let out a soft oh. For him. That's why you stole information about my child. To do it for him. So they forged my mental evaluation. To do it for him. So they prepared to transfer my son. Su Wan. In your for him package. Are the victims defaulting to me and the child? The bodyguard at the door lowered his head again. Xia Linchuan's face turned pale inch by inch. Su Wan seemed to be pierced by these words. Her voice suddenly sharp. If it weren't for you giving birth to this child, would I have become like this? The ward fell completely silent. The police lifted their heads to look at her. Escalating was also taken aback. I looked at her. Continue. Su Wan realized she had misspoken and immediately fell silent. I had no intention of letting her go. You just said that if it weren't for me giving birth to this child, so you hate him very much. Su Wan's eyes suddenly trembled. I leaned back a little, the cut still stinging, making my voice sound faint. But I enunciated each word clearly. The mental evaluation is to prove that I am crazy. The paternity test is to prove that the child is illegitimate. The transfer procedures are to take him out of my sight. Hiren Hospital is your next stop that you've prepared. I looked at her. Su Wan, you never intended for him to live well from the very beginning. Su Wan exclaimed. Shut up. The child jumped at her outburst. I immediately lowered my head to soothe him. Su Wei instinctively took a step forward, standing between the crib and Su Wan. The police officer frowned. Miss Su, please control your emotions. Su Wan gasped, her expression becoming increasingly chaotic. On what basis? Why does she get to do nothing and still give birth to this child? As long as this child is alive, everyone in the CF family will be watching him. As long as this child is alive, I can never set foot in the CF family's door for the rest of my life. I've accompanied Lin Chuan for so many years. What is she to him? Lin Chuan's face turned pale. Su Wan, shut up. Su Wan suddenly looked at him. What are you pretending to be sober now? I said she was crazy, and you believed it. I said the child might not be yours, and you believed me. I said taking the child away was for the child's good. And didn't you also bring someone along? She let out a laugh, tears still hanging on her face, but her expression was somewhat distorted. Lin Chuan, if you hadn't called the police tonight, you would have taken the child away long ago. The ward was silent as death. Lin Chuan felt as if he had been slapped in the face, his entire body stiffening. I looked at him. Did you hear that? This is actually true. He swallowed hard but didn't say anything. Su Wan was still smiling. What are you looking at me for now? Do you think I'm a bad person? But every time, it's you who trusts me first. When Lin Zi cries, you find her troublesome. When she tries to explain, you think she's being evasive. When she called the police, you still thought she was going crazy. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a resentment that was almost impossible to hide. She just suddenly got a little smarter. Shut up. Lin Chuan abruptly interrupted her. But it was too late. Everything that should have been said and shouldn't have been said, she had already said. I looked at the police. Was that enough to add to the record? The officer nodded. It will be recorded. Su Wan finally realized that she had completely lost control. She wanted to step back, but was stopped by the officer. Miss Su, you need to come back with us to assist in the investigation. She panicked. Lin Chuan. Lin Chuan did not move. Su Wan looked at him in disbelief. You won't help me. Lin Chuan's voice was hoarse. You want to harm my child. Your child. Su Wan seemed to have heard a funny joke. Weren't you just doubting that he was yours? Lin Chuan's face turned pale. This time, he didn't even have the right to argue back. I held the child and gently patted his back. Lin Chuan. He suddenly turned to look at me. Don't play the victim here. You weren't deceived. You just couldn't be bothered to check. He felt as if that statement had pinned him down. I continued. I said I'm not crazy, but you don't check the diagnosis. I said the child cannot be taken away, but you don't check the authorization. Su Wan said the child is not yours, but you don't check the sample. She said it was for the child's good. Yet you didn't even ask where the child was taken. Now that the truth is laid bare, you only just begin to regret. I looked at him. Your regret sure knows how to pick the right time for safety. Su Wei's pen froze momentarily on the paper. The supervisor's forehead was covered in sweat. Lin Chuan's lips moved. Don't call. I interrupted him. Lin Chuan's eyes turned red in an instant. If it were my past life, I would probably have softened my heart. I would feel that he finally realized he was wrong. But now all I feel is noise. When Su Wan was taken away, she was still struggling. She shouted at me with red eyes. Lin Zi, do you think you've won? Even without me, The Xie family won't let you take the child. I looked at her. Then let the Xie family wait in line. The police can queue up here first. The court can line up at the back. Su Wan's face contorted for a moment. The police took her out of the ward. Chen Li was also taken away. The supervisor's legs went weak, and she leaned against the doorframe. The ward finally fell silent. The child fell asleep in my arms. A small breath brushed against my palm, one after another, very lightly. Xie Linchuan stood in place, as if suddenly unsure where to put his hands. His voice was hoarse. Lin Zi. I know it's too late to say anything now. Just so you know, I said. Then don't say anything. I looked at the supervisor. I need the records I requested just now. Please supplement them now. The supervisor immediately nodded. Supplement it. Do it immediately. And the entry records for Mr. Xie and his party coming in tonight. I want it too. The supervisor glanced cautiously at Xie Linchuan. Xie Linchuan's voice was low and hoarse. Give it to her. I laughed. Mr. Xie has finally learned to cooperate with the process. That's good. Just a suggestion for next time. Please don't practice on someone else's child. Xie Linchuan's shoulders stiffened. He said in a low voice. The child is also mine. The atmosphere in the ward grew cold once again. I looked at him. So what? He looked up. I have the right to know his condition and the right to see him. Power. I nodded. Sure. Then let's continue discussing power. You brought someone to forcibly enter the hospital room tonight without my consent. You tried to take the child away with unverified documents. You colluded with Su Wan to create a scene that pressured me unfavorably. You nearly sent the child down the path she had arranged. I looked at him, asking one question at a time. Do you think it's helpful to include this in the report? Will it be beneficial for you to fight for visitation rights in the future? Xie Linchuan completely froze. The supervisor took a deep breath. Su Wei continued to look down and write notes. Xie Linchuan's voice tightened. Are you going to restrict my visitation? Yes. Until the investigation is over. I refuse to let you have contact with the child. The manner of subsequent visitation will be determined by the court. His eyes were deeply red. Do you really have to be this resolute? I chuckled a bit. Here we go again. You snatch the children, claiming it's for their own good. I protect the child. That's final. Xie Linchuan. You all need to update your vocabulary. He cleared his throat but didn't speak. I looked down at the child. Still, I want a divorce. This time. Xie Linchuan's face turned completely white. Zi. I want custody of the child. I want the Xie family to publicly clarify that I do not have postpartum mental disorders. I have not cheated, and I have not harmed the child. I want all records backed up tonight. I want Su Wan and everyone involved to take responsibility. I looked up at him. These are not up for discussion. They are notices. He looked at me, and finally there was panic in his eyes. Do you really want to go this far? It's not that I want to go this far, I said. It's that you have already gone this far. I'm just filling in the records. Xie Linchuan's eyes turned even redder. He said softly, I was wrong. Ahoo. If you're wrong, cooperate with the investigation. It was as if my words had left him completely stunned. After a long pause, he finally asked, Do you really not give me a single chance? I looked at him. I've begged you many times. Please believe me. Please don't take the child away. Please at least let me explain once. But you didn't hear it even once. He stood frozen in place. I didn't look at him again. Nurse Su. Could you please check if the child was scared by what just happened? Su Wei immediately stepped forward. After checking, she said softly. Everything's fine for now. She cried and then fell asleep. After Su Wei finished speaking, she glanced at Xie Linchuan. Mr. Xie, both the mother and newborn need their rest. Please leave first. Xie Linchuan didn't move. He looked at me, his voice hoarse. I understand. I was wrong. I nodded. It's good that you know your mistake. A glimmer of light just surfaced in his eyes. I continued. When we take notes later, remember to speak truthfully. That light went out. Xie Linchuan stood there for a long time, but in the end, he still left. Su Wan, Chen Li, and the transfer paperwork were taken to the police station. The maternal care center sealed off the surveillance and access control overnight. The supervisor came to find me the next day, saying that the center would definitely take responsibility. I asked her, "Up to what point am I responsible?" She was stunned. I said, "Write it into the written materials. Verbal responsibility doesn't count as responsibility." The supervisor's lips moved, and in the end, he honestly supplemented the materials. 3 days later, the CF family came by once. They said they wanted to sit down and talk. I asked, "What are we talking about?" The other party said, "After all, Mr. Xia is the father of the child." I said, "Then please bring along the records of him stealing children with a group at midnight as well." The other party fell silent. As for what happened later, I no longer discussed it privately. Divorce goes to court. Custody goes to court. Clarification and accountability also follow the proper process. The Xia family wants to maintain their dignity. I let them learn to obey the rules first. Xia Linchuan also came. That day I was just abo to take the child away from the postpartum center. He stood at the door, his eyes bloodshot. "Do you understand? Can I take a look at him?" I glanced down at the child in my arms. He was sleeping soundly, his small hand clutching at my clothes. I said, "No." Xia Linchuan's Adam's apple bobbed. "I just want to take a look." "You only said you wanted to take a look." I looked up at him. "Did you give me a choice when you wanted to take him away?" "No." His face went pale all of a sudden. I don't know. Is that really not knowing?" I said. "You simply can't be bothered to check." He stood there, his eyes gradually reddening. "I really know I was wrong." I nodded. "Then make fewer mistakes from now on." He froze. I hugged the child and walked past him. After taking a few steps, he called me from behind. "Are you really not giving me any chance at all?" I paused for a moment. "Xia Linchuan, it's not that I haven't given you a chance. I always used to wait for you to trust me. This time, I'm waiting for the police. They'll arrive faster than you." After saying that, I got into the car. The moment the car door closed, the child stirred in my arms. I leaned down and kissed his forehead. After my rebirth, I didn't rush to take revenge. First, I called the police. After all, some people can't stand the light of day. As soon as the light turned on, I panicked.